What about stuff that's out there? Like, how much of a fear is it of micrometeors or any of the possibilities? What can you do to mitigate that?
I think actually, I mean, space is very empty. Like once you get out of Earth orbit, space is like kind of unnervingly empty. It's just like when we send spacecraft to Mars, it's not like, oh, we lost the spacecraft because it got hit by a micrometeorite. That's not been the cause of any trips to Mars. No trips to Mars have failed because of micrometeorites. Now, a Dragon spacecraft, which operates in low Earth orbit, does have micrometeorite shields. It has shielding. And micrometeorite shielding it's different from normal shielding because like you get hit by something that's moving at like you could have a relative velocity of like maybe 30 or 40,000 miles per hour. Yeah, so very, very fast. Or just thought of another way, call it 10 to 20 times the velocity of a bullet from an assault rifle.
And what are you using?
It's interesting. You actually, in order for micrometeorite protection, if you have anything that's solid, it will just push that chunk of solid stuff right through. So if you had like a solid plate of aluminum or steel, the micrometeorite would go right through it. So what you actually need to do is have a gap. So you have an initial like hard surface, a hard metal surface that the micrometeorite hits. It then atomizes into a conical spray, like an atomic spray. So it's important to have that gap so that the micrometeorite can hit something, hit the first layer, atomize after hitting the first layer, then it turns into an atomic, like a cone of atoms that then embed themselves in the second layer. You need like maybe a couple inches of gap.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how micrometeorite shielding works.
How many times can it get hit?
Well, the outer shield, if it gets hit in the same place, you're gonna have a hole.
Yeah.
wherever that micrometeorite object hit, you're gonna have a hole. And it's like the energy is so great that it just atomizes just into a cone, basically, a cone of atoms. But then those atoms then embed themselves in the second layer.
So what can you do if you're sending the ship up, it gets hit with a micrometeorite, and then you have to return it? Do you have to repair it before you return it? Or is it capable of still withstanding the heat and the shaking and the temperature with that hole in it when it re-enters?
Well, depending on where that hole is, you're more or less likely to have a problem. I mean, if you hit the main heat shield, the main heat shield really is you've got a high risk of not making it back. So this is why like micrometeorite shielding, it's slightly helpful. But it's not gonna like for Starship. I wouldn't recommend having micrometeorite shielding. Like if you do punch a hole, just plug the hole, basically. The micrometeorite shielding, it doesn't work well on the primary heat shield. It works pretty well on the back shell, on the leeward side of the heat shield, where basically there's not that much heat. But if you got hit with a micrometeorite on the main Dragon heat shield, the bottom, like if you look at Dragon spacecraft, it looks like a gumdrop shape,
Mm-hmm.
and it enters with the wide side of the gumdrop down. You can see that's really taking a lot of heat. If that gets hit by a micrometeorite, probably not going to make it. But the back, the leeward side of the gumdrop doesn't see that much heat, so you could survive a micrometeorite impact there.
So if the part that was the major heat shield gets hit, the main heat shield gets hit, what could be done to repair that thing, or are those people never coming back?
If it was in orbit, we would take them to the space station. There was, and then we would deorbit Dragon without them and send up another one.
And so what would you do with the one that's up there?
We'd deorbit it, and it may or may not survive.
Whoa.
It probably would survive, but sometimes it wouldn't.
Wow. And so this just material technology that has to increase? That you essentially have got the engineering ironed out of the structure of the machine.
There's a path to success, and we're on that path.
It seems so insanely complicated.
It is complicated. And all of this, by the way, was done without AI, so hopefully the future AIs will appreciate this. Not bad for a bunch of monkeys.
Yeah, no.